Hey, what's up? This is alchemist.camp, where we learn Elixir and Phoenix by building things. And today, what we're going to build is an improvement, actually, to the event tracking we set up previously. As you may recall, in an earlier episode, we put our Phoenix server behind an Nginx proxy. And one of the pieces of data that we want to report on events is what the remote IP is. And unfortunately, if you're behind a remote proxy, you'll often just see remote IP being localhost every time. Because an incoming request hits the Nginx server, it handles the SSH and maybe a few other things, and then that gets passed along to the Phoenix server. So as far as Phoenix knows, the remote IP is just localhost. So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called plug forwarded peer, which is basically just a standard implementation of this RFC 7239, which is how you fill in a remote IP with the forwarded peer of the actual remote IP of the visitor. Now, this library is pretty small. Looking inside it, we've got just one file, and then the boilerplate for a mixed project, and this is all there is. So I'm going to copy the entire thing into a new plug in my plugs called forwarded peer. I'm going to leave the name as it is, plug forwarded peer. Then in my router, I will just add that to the pipeline right after the secure browser headers. And this is actually all it takes in order to start getting the correct information on remote IP. We'll mix the project. And there are some deprecations. So let's look at the project again. String L strip. Yeah, I've seen that a lot before. So this was basically just renamed to trim leading, and R strip was renamed to trim trailing. Yeah, okay, and let's have a look at this. It's been 3 years since any update. Okay, so that pretty much explains it. Okay, let's update the file and do what we need to get rid of those various warnings. It looks like the code formatter has already moved things around a little bit, but we just need to find the strip and the L strip and the R strips. So I'll search for strip. Okay, it's only on this one line. Let's actually break this onto multiple lines. That way it'll be a little bit easier to work with. Oops, let's that white space first. Okay, so we've got a string.strip, a string.r strip, a string.l strip. The reason these were changed, or at least one of the reasons, is L strip and R strip and strip work on character lists instead of strings. So that's like the single quoted version, and strings are double quoted, and I assume there were issues with Unicode, which is why things were changed. So let's just change this to string.trim, and we're going to match a string, so that would be like a quoted string. We can escape this, although that's kind of ugly, a little bit hard to read, and it's confusing the editor. So let's just use a sigil. We'll do tilde-s, which is how you start a string. I'll use curlies because those are unused. So we're going to trim this first, and then from the right side, we're going to just quote this and change this to trim, let's see, right R strip, so that would be trim trailing. And L strip will be trim leading. And quote that. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the enclosing brackets around whatever the string with the IP is, and we're also going to get rid of the quotes. So that should do it. Let's save it, make sure we can mix it. Very good, no warnings. So far, so good. Now let's log out that event or log out the remote IP in our event. Just make sure that all is as it should be. There we go. We got that remote IP. Now, how are we going to check this with an actual remote IP without deploying everything to the server? Probably the easiest way is we'll use a tool called ngrok that just makes a locally running server available over the internet. So we'll go to our home directory because that's where I put my ngrok. And what was the syntax for that? ngrok HTTP 4002. I think there was some bug with it. Yeah, so I had to throw out standard error. Right, so it's started up. Let's grab this address. Ngrok give us an external address. So this random looking string.ngrok.io looks like a little bit strange. I'm not sure why that's happening. But in any case, oh, there we go, just slow. So now we should see some logs happening in our other terminal. Looks like it's working fine. We're getting a new IP address that's not localhost, and if we were to take out this forwarded peer from our router, then this same request to ngrok would just go back to localhost. All right, all is good. So the only thing left to do now is to share this code back to the project. What I can see, it looks like it hasn't been updated in 3 years. And there's also already a pull request out there. May have just tried to do the same thing, fixed Elixir 1.5 warning. So actually, if I were to submit this pull request, it would probably just, yeah, it would just be repeating work someone else has already done. So we won't submit a pull request, but we will use the updates that we've made just because we don't want to have deprecations. If we ever upgraded to version 2 of Elixir, all of that might be broken. I think it would be broken. Copy of plug forwarded here with Elixir 1.5 warnings cleaned up. If you found it useful, then subscribe on YouTube, click the bell, and sign up on alchemist.camp, and you will get more like it. See you next time.